Craig Sikora. I'm a manager at Traphagen CPA and Wealth Advisors, and I am putting together this video to show everybody the new QuickBooks Online desktop app, just as a quick review, just to go over what it looks like, how it could help you, especially since QuickBooks Desktop after 2024 has been discontinued, and in May of 2027 it will no longer be supported by QuickBooks, and anybody who is using subscription on that QuickBooks Desktop app for 2024 will be turned off, and will only be able to see their work. They won't be able to work in the program anymore. So it's going to help, because a lot of people are going to have to either convert over to QuickBooks Online, or you're going to have to go to QuickBooks Enterprise, which costs about $2,200 a year to buy the new program. So it is definitely cheaper to go to QuickBooks Online. And with this new desktop app, it kind of has a feel of that desktop that you've been working with all these years. So I just want to take you through how some of it looks. This is the screen itself, and if you could put it into something called desktop view, and when you do this, it kind of looks like that old desktop where you have the reconciliation, writing checks, chart of accounts. All the symbols kind of look similar to when you're working on the desktop. There's also, you create invoices, receive payments. So it should look pretty similar to what you're used to. The other thing that this application does is it has the bars across the top, right? That looks exactly like what QuickBooks Desktop looks like. Your chart of accounts, your customers, your vendors. So if you go into company, this is where your chart of accounts are, your home, your company snapshots. You can manage your subscription through here. You can make your journal entries. You can import any data. This is very similar to what the company version was on the desktop. Same thing with your customers screen. You can go to your customer center from here, create invoices, receive payments, just like you could create credit memos, just like you could on a desktop. Vendors, very similar. The vendor center is here. You could enter your bills here. You could pay your bills from here. Enter any expenses. Your banking, that's where you can get to your reconciliation. You can make your deposits through there like you used to on the desktop. And your reports are very similar in how they show, like profit and loss under the company and financials, your balance sheet. The receivables have the aging. Sales, you get all your sales by vendors and by customers. Payables will show you your payable aging schedule and your vendor, all your purchases. And then the accountant area is where you have your general ledgers and the journal entries that you've made to print out in the trial balance. Right? And it's all very similar to how it showed on the desktop. So it's a lot easier for somebody who's on desktop to get acclimated to an online subscription. You're still online, you're still going in the cloud with this, but just getting around in it will be a lot easier for you. Along the side, they have something similar to what they have in desktop too. It's just another way to get around to these same areas. But when you go into these, right, once you click into one, so for instance, if we were going to go into the chart of accounts, it's going to look like the online, right? It's not going to look like desktop's version. It's going to look exactly like online because we are in the online program, right? But just getting around to these spots makes it a lot easier, right? So the chart of accounts, for instance, has where you could get to your registers if you need to get to your check register, if you're writing out your checks directly, or if you're adding checks or disbursements, or deposits. They're all entered here. So a little bit different than the desktop version because you have to go up to this section here to add your check in. Then you'd put your date and the check number, and then who it's for. You'd have your vendors all in here. So you just pick a vendor. And then we could put in a payment amount and then whatever it's for by the chart of accounts. Say that this is just purchase. And then you would save it, and that's how you would enter your checks. And then, of course, if you need to do a deposit, if you're just entering a deposit, you change this over in drop-down screen here. Click add a deposit. Of course, you could put down a customer name if you have one. But if you don't, you're just going to go in here and select your income account, and then you've recorded a deposit. It's a little bit different from the desktop version where you continuously go to the next line, and you either put whether it's a deposit or a payment. Here you have to actually notate what it's going to be before you do that. But it's still a very easy way of getting around and putting in your transactions as you go. Let's see. So if we go back to the chart of accounts, just so you can see more with the chart of accounts, you've got all your accounts. You could add a new account just by adding a new account up here. I'm putting the account name and what type of account it is, whether it's an expense or an income account, or it's a balance sheet account, a bank account, or a receivable. And then once you put that new account in, it'll show up on the list. If you need to edit any of them, it's pretty easy. You just come over here and you click down on the arrow, and then you'd hit edit. And then you could edit any category or any class that that account falls under. Another way around in this program, because we are working on desktop, is you have your settings, which are in here. It's just another way from up top where you're in the company folder to get to settings. There's also a cog on the screen, and that's the QuickBooks Online way of getting into your settings. And this is where you can go and change your company settings, the accounting settings of the program. Also, you can get into the chart of accounts here. You can get to your lists here, all your account lists. So if you're doing products on your invoices, this is where you would go to get to your products and services that you want to record if you need any new ones. You could also get to your bank reconciliations through here and your subscription to the program itself. Another thing that you could do on this program that really would be different from the desktop is you could add different screens. So for instance, say we go to reports and we're in the profit and loss right now. And you'd like to see a balance sheet up on the screen as well. Well, you hit this plus sign, it gives you a new tab. And then new tab, you could do whatever you need to do. If you need to go into a balance sheet as well and you want to see them both open, you could open up a balance sheet and then you could toggle back and forth between the two reports. You got your profit and loss, you got your balance sheet. If you need to open any more, you can continuously open more. You can open as many as you need to do. Another big feature that the desktop app has that even the QuickBooks Online, if you were to go in through the browser, does not have is if you have multiple company files. So if you have a couple companies that you need to go back and forth into, or you just work at the same time during the day on, you could have multiple companies opened up. All you have to do is click on the ad and select your other company. It would have a list of all your companies, and then you could have that company open. And you could have another company open. You could have about 4 or 5 companies open at the same time. So that's something different. That's from the online version, where if you go directly to your browser and enter, you can only have one company open on the browser. And the desktop version only allows you to open up a secondary company. So it doesn't allow you to open more than 2 at a time. So that's another item or option in QuickBooks desktop for the online app that you could do that you can't do on the other 2 versions. Just so everybody sees, this is an easy way of getting around to your reconciliations as well. Yeah, once you get in, it looks pretty similar to when you're putting in your ending balance, your statement ending, and then going in. Reconciliation will look a little bit different. But for the most part, it's all pretty similar when you get through it, and it keeps a tab of, how much you're off, just like the desktop version. So if you're not completely cleared out on your debits and credits to the ending balance, you know what you're off by. Another thing going forward, I don't know how much longer desktop has, even with enterprise, at some point, I think QuickBooks is just going to completely pull the plug on the desktop altogether and force everybody to go to online. So, we help with converting over from your desktop to online. So if you need any help with it, give the office a call, and I can help out with moving you over to online and getting an online program started. They're a lot cheaper. There's different packages. It is a monthly fee. Um, that's why they're going to this way, because they want a continuous revenue stream. They don't want somebody who's just purchasing it once a year and then not getting one for next 3 years. They want you to continuously purchase from them. Um, and some of them are about, there's one that's $35, which is the lowest level one, and that one has one user. If you need more users, then you have to go up to the next level. And we could go through, what that pricing looks like by the QuickBooks uh, online site, and I'll take you through exactly how much that costs on a monthly basis. The first month is free when you open up a new QuickBooks Online file. So you have one free month. The only problem is if you have a lot of smaller uh, rental properties or something like that, where you need about 5 or 6 different programs, I would look at potentially, keeping those either in one file and then using their class function in QuickBooks Online, which means that you could just put the address of the company in there, or the address of the property, and then it would split the profit and loss in the columns by those properties, as long as you're putting the class down to each entry. Because otherwise you're going to have to pay a fee for each one of these files. So, that could become very expensive for someone who's been using desktop and is able to put as many many files together as they need to on that program. So that's just something to be aware of when you do transfer over. Now, if you have a program that's prior to 2022, if you're using QuickBooks 21 and back, there's no restrictions on those licenses. They only did that starting with the 22, 23, and 24 license programs. So you're in pretty good shape. If you're using one prior, just that they're still not supporting it. So if something does happen to your file, you won't be able to recuperate it, unless you can get it from a computer technician. QuickBooks will not help you get that file back. The only one that they're actually even doing any kind of help on is the 24 program now, and of course Enterprise. That is what I have for you today. And if you need any help, or you're interested in potentially going over to QuickBooks Online, give the office a call. It's 201-262-1040, and you could ask for me, Craig Sikora, and I could help you. We could talk about it. I could give you like another demo of it, so you could ask any questions that you need to. And then we could potentially get you moved over to QuickBooks Online, and you could use this desktop app to get around in it. So then you don't have to go and potentially try to figure this out at the end on May 31st next year in 2027, when they're turning it off. All right. Very nice to have everybody listen. And I may put out a video in the future. Thank you.